Hello, I'm Paul, and this is Paul Plays with Fire. Welcome. Come on in and grab a chair. Today on the show, we're going to explore different ways of making hash browns right here on the Blackstone Griddle. Crispy hash browns, the kind of hash browns you get in a roadside cafe next to your eggs and bacon, are one of my favorite things at breakfast. A few months ago, when I was obsessed with home fries, we did a video trying out different ways of making home fries on the Blackstone Griddle. Well, now I'm obsessed with hash browns, so we're going to do it again. We're going to try making 4 different ways of making hash browns on the Blackstone Griddle. We'll be trying to recreate those roadside cafe hash browns that are so good and see which method does the best. We'll be using fresh grated russet hash browns, dehydrated hash browns, frozen hash browns, and sweet potato hash browns. That's right, hash browns made from sweet potatoes. Trust me, they are delicious. This should be fun. Let's get busy. First, let's talk about the dehydrated hash browns, which we've used before on the show with good success. They come from a box like this, and you rehydrate them according to the package directions. Although I use a little bit less water than the package says because wet hash browns are the enemy of crispy hash browns. We're also going to try and make frozen hash browns. I've used frozen hash browns before, but it's been a few years, and I've not used them on the Blackstone Griddle until this week. I did let them thaw out of the counter for a little bit, just to give them a chance. Next, we're going to be using freshly grated potatoes to make hash browns. Earlier, we peeled a couple of russet potatoes, then we used a box grater to shred the potatoes. Some folks rinse their hash browns here. I like unrinsed because the starch helps them stick together better on the griddle. And most important thing about fresh grated hash browns is to get the water out of them, because once again, wet hash browns are the enemy of crispy hash browns. I like to roll them up in a paper towel, wring them out, and then let them sit a bit to dry. And finally, we'll be using grated sweet potatoes for our 4th batch of hash browns. We'll peel them and shred them just like we did with the russet potatoes. But sweet potatoes contain much less water than russet potatoes, so the drying process is much easier. I just let them sit a bit after shredding to dry out. Our griddle's about right where we want it, just around 400, 450, somewhere in there. You don't want it too hot, 400 is about right. And for cooking, we're going to use what we use every day, the avocado oil in our squeeze bottle, and then we're going to be using some ghee. What's ghee, you ask? It's clarified butter that's been heated up and left to settle out so that the oils rise to the top and the milk solids in the water go to the bottom. So then you separate them and you only have the oil from the butter. So you have all that delicious butter flavor, but none of the milk solids, which make it turn brown, and the water, which are the enemy of crispy hash browns, like we talked about. Let's get started with our frozen hash browns, I think. They're gonna take a little longer. They're gonna take a few minutes longer, so we're gonna put a little oil down here. Spread it out a little bit. And then put our hash browns down. And then we'll put a dollop of ghee right about here so that it'll melt around the hash browns. And we want these into a nice orderly square, I guess, an orderly square. Next up, we'll start with our fresh. We're gonna put those here. I've got a little cheat sheet that tells me where everything is, so I don't forget. I don't think I'll forget. They all look pretty, unlike the home fries, they're all pretty distinctive. Let's see, we're gonna put dehydrated down next, and I don't think we need all of these. That's probably about enough. Once again, we'll flatten those out. Put a dollop of ghee onto that. And I put it towards the back because the way my griddle is leveled, everything runs towards the front where the drain is. So I put them in the back, and as it heats, the ghee will melt towards the... Okay, next up we're gonna put our fresh hash browns. Let's see, and our fresh hash browns go right here. Spread that out a little bit. About good. Gonna have a lot of hash browns when this is over. That's okay, I love them. One of the tricks to cooking hash browns is once you get them out on the griddle like this, you kind of just let them be. You want them to kind of form up into a homogeneous mass, something that you can flip over. I put another little piece of ghee on there to melt and take it towards the edge there. But if you just leave them be, they'll form that crisp on the bottom, and they'll come out just like you want. Leave them be, I said, and then I don't leave them be. Okay, finally, we're gonna do our sweet potato hash browns, and they take the least time, and they have more sugar. They have more sugar content than the rest of them, so they're a little more likely to burn, so we'll have to be a little careful with them. Oh, are they good? Definitely something different. But I don't recall ever seeing sweet potato hash browns anyplace. I guess it's kind of a bit too painful for some people. Okay, and then just like the others, give them a little taste of ghee right there and see how it goes. Temperature's looking real good. We kind of cooled down. We were pretty hot at first, but we kind of cooled down once we put the hash browns on there and things got working. Well, normally I'd say it's been about 10 minutes, but in this case, I'm really not sure how long they've actually been cooking, because just about the time I got done with you guys, the gas tank gave out. I knew it was close. I thought I could get through this cook. Obviously I could not. So I had to stop, change out the gas tank. Meanwhile, my potatoes are sitting here on the griddle. Change out the gas tank. Fortunately, I had another one. I knew this was gonna happen eventually. It turns out this is a good place to do it because I had a nice hot griddle. Potatoes just sat there and chilled a little bit, just like they would in a real restaurant. They don't start the potatoes when you order them. They start them before that, and then they finish them up after you order them. I think it's about time to flip a few of our potatoes. Let's take a peek. I'm most worried about the sweet potatoes. We kind of got to play around the edges a little bit. The sweet potatoes, like I said, they're a little sweeter. They have a tendency to burn. Oh, that looks real good. That looks really good. And I also noticed our fresh potatoes, because we didn't rinse them. Normally when I grate up hash browns to go on the griddle, I grate up hash browns, I come right out here, put them on the griddle. Because I'm filming this, it took longer. Everything takes longer. The potatoes sat around a little bit. I had to change the tank out, so they sat on the griddle for a little bit. They turned kind of a darker color. I'm sure it won't affect the flavor, but if I was in a restaurant, whether on either side of the counter, whether I was serving them or eating them, I wouldn't want these. I'll eat them today. See, it looks great on that side though. And these are dehydrated. And they, of course, are perfect. Always perfect. Look at that. Kind of muffed on the flip, but that's okay. Oh yeah. And then our frozen. And we put these on first because we think they take the longest. We'll see. Oh, that looks pretty good. They're not very brown yet. They're not very crispy yet, as you would expect. So we're gonna let these go for a little bit. I didn't think it's gonna be time to eat. Oh, we do need to season a little bit too. I should have done that sooner, but the gas tank ran out. We'll do it now. Just a little salt and pepper, very simple seasoning. We'll see you in a little bit. And if you like this kind of nonsense, make sure you subscribe and maybe even give us a thumbs up. Thank you, I appreciate it. Well, I think our hash browns are done. They look pretty good. They look real good. We're gonna just cut off a little taste of each one of them. Oh yeah, that looked good. That's the sweet potato hash browns. The frozen hash browns. Yeah, they didn't get quite as done. They would probably be a little better if I left them on, but we don't have all day. The fresh russets. Remember what I said about them sticking together because of that starch? Yes, sir, they did. and the dehydrated. There, a nice selection. Very nice selection of hash browns. I do enjoy doing these different taste tests where we try different things. You know, take a particular, like hash browns or tater tots or, tater tots, or sweet corn, and make a bunch of different ways of doing it and see what works best. Boy, those sweet potato hash browns are so good. Oh, those are good, and they're crunchy too. That is the fresh potato hash browns, the russets. They got a little discolored because we got delayed because we were doing this filming thing. But they're good. Then we'll go for the frozen. They sound like I have a pretty good crunch. They're not too bad. They're probably my least favorite pick of the bunch. If we get to rating, I've used those for years. There's no shame in using them, but they just don't get as crispy as some of the other methods. Next up would probably be the fresh potatoes, the freshly grated potatoes. Those are really good too. And then it's a tie between the sweet potato fries and the dehydrated potatoes, because those are both so good. I mean, the dehydrated I just know are good. Oh yum. Every time. So predictable. And so easy to make. Well, this has been a good taste test. I didn't really get full on it like I usually do, but I think I'm gonna make some bacon eggs after this, so don't worry, I'll get enough to eat. I'm Paul, and this has been Paul Plays with Fire. Thanks for watching. Mm-hmm.